Good morning, מועדים לשמחה רגיל לעשות השלשון שיעור נשמתם של קדושים וטהורים. Pesach. In the Haggadah and Seder night we were talking about the four sons. בארבעה בנים ביאור התורה, אחד חכם, אחד תם, אחד שאינו יודע לשאול, ואחד רשע. We talked last week about Chacham, and the question is asking and explain that the idea behind it is to understand and realize that when we do something constantly, all the time, we have to remind ourselves to think about it and understand the importance of it. Like Yetziat Mitzrayim, we say every day, every time, so many times. So that's why we need this special night to put it in ourselves, of course, and in the next generation, because the main mitzvah of the Seder night and the whole Pesach and the whole year, by the way, is to pass the message to the next generation. And the important thing is that those things that we get used to them, those are the most important things. As we said, air, water, though they are very cheap, water is very cheap to buy, air you can get free. From the other side, we have diamonds that cost a fortune, but they are not important. You can survive without diamonds, but you cannot survive without air. And we explained it. And that's the same with Yetziat Mitzrayim. Yetziat Mitzrayim is a basic thing in Judaism, the basic of emunah, of believing. And this is the acid of everything. Unfortunately, we say it like the same way as we daven, as we pray, we get used to things. And this is where we have to put the fire in. This is Seder night. Seder night is to put fire in and put things in the right proportion to understand and realize that who is controlling the world and who is and who takes care of us, who is our Father in heaven. That's the Kodesh Baruch Hu. He did everything, and od milvado, and that's it. Period. And he is one that is looking at each step that we do. And when we're talking about those steps, I don't know if I told you this story. It's a famous story. A guy was walking in the forest, a dangerous place, and suddenly he sees near him footsteps in the sand. And looks behind and sees two sets of footsteps. He sees his own, and he sees another set of footsteps. And says, what's this? So a bad call comes from heaven and says, God is escorting, God is going with you. Wow, unbelievable. He's walking and it's getting darker and it's very dangerous and it's very hard to walk. And he looks if God is still with him, and suddenly he sees that there's only one set of footsteps. God left him. He says, wow, God, here when I'm in this big problem, you leave me alone. Says, but Kol Mishamayim, comes a voice from heaven and says, who do you think are those footsteps? They are not yours. This is the footsteps of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, of God. He is carrying you. And this is sometimes we think, wow, where is God? See the Geulah. Where is the Geulah? Why is it not coming? So there are a lot of reasons, but when we make sure that our belief is strong, we know the Geulah will come. Bezrat Hashem b'mehera b'yameinu. And this is what gives us the power and the fire to go on and understanding that God is above all. And God is our Father in heaven. He wants the best for us. And when we talk about Chacham, what is the Rasha? You know, unfortunately, the Rasha, some people think that we are just sending him away. Wow, give him in his teeth. Wow, what is this work that God gave you? But the real truth is, the Rav Ezrachi, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, says a beautiful thing. He says, we don't read it right. The Ben Rasha, what we're telling him is, he says, talk with him. He says, my dear son, we are so concerned about you. We are afraid that when the Geulah will come, you will not be there because you don't believe. You don't believe enough. You don't keep the mitzvahs. You're going to break our heart. And this gets into his heart. And we have to say, why is it going to get out? He's a Rasha. Because he's sitting there in the Seder night. The problem is with those who don't sit at the Seder night. Those are the problem. But the son that sits with us, so they call him Rasha. Why do they call him Rasha? Because he's taking himself out of it. And this reminds me of a story, an unbelievable story, a true story with Rav Steinman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Years ago, there was this family, ultra-Orthodox, Haredim, and they had sons and daughters, and one of the sons, I think it was the youngest one, he was going in the wrong way. And they were rowing him day and night, all the time, rowing and rowing and rowing. Didn't know what to do with him. He grew up very angry. Comes home, he does whatever he wants to. One day he says, I'm leaving home. The parent says, no, Baruch Sheptaranu. No, it was very hard to live with this guy. And for me it also was very hard. And he left, he went to up north to a not religious moshav, of course. He left the religion. And a few years later, he phones to his parents. He says, of course, I'm getting married. Come to the wedding. And they understood that the wedding is with a not religious wife. And who knows how this wedding is going to look. You know, if you've been once in a Chiloni wedding, like real Chiloni, the dancing and what's going on there. He says, what are we going to do to go to a wedding like this? They decided not to go. They didn't go. A few years later, while the only connection with him is sometimes Shana Tova, Good Shabbos, that's it. A few years later, we got a phone call. The son is there. Father and mother, I'm inviting you to Shalom Zocher. I've got a son who was born, and we're doing the Brit next week, and I want you to come for Shabbos for the Shalom Zocher. They didn't know what to do. Well, to go, not to go. How can we go? What's going to be with Shabbos? They won't keep Shabbos there. And what's with the coach with food? What are you going to do there? Shalom Zachor? What is it? Why is he doing Shalom Zachor at all? They went to the Rav Stein, the father went to the Rav Steinman and asked him and told him the story. You know what the Rav Steinman told him? You go. You and your wife, you go there. I said, wow, how are we going to keep Shabbos? What's going to be with the food and everything? He says, don't worry. You take with yourself, take a bottle of wine, take challahs, take a little cold meat or whatever, and fish, and do your Shabbos there. He comes home, says his wife, dear mother, Rav Steinman says we have to go there. She says, what? Rav Steinman said, they're going. They get into this moshav up north, and asking, where is Ichale? Ichale? You mean the rabbi? What rabbi? The Ichale. They ask another one. Ichale, you mean the rabbi? He is at the end there, you take right and left and right. Then they stop this tractor, the guy on a tractor, and says, please tell us where Ichale is. Ichale, oh, I'll take you to the house of the rabbi, don't worry. They don't say what's going on here. And they get to this house, they knock at the door, and the door is opened, and there's this guy with a beard, with a kippah, big kippah, and a tzitzis coming out. They don't know who is this guy. Oh, Abba, Ima, father, mother, mama, daddy, oh, and he's high. Ichale? Says, yes. And they hugging. They go in. He's got two daughters before. They see the two daughters' breast. It's news. They see his wife with a kisui rosh. The head is covered, the hair is covered. Wow. And then they see these big bookshelves with all the holy books, the Torah, the Shulchan Aruch, Gemara, everything. They couldn't believe what's going on here. Comes Shabbos, and people from the Moshav come. Oh, Rabbi, we came to escort you to the shul, to the synagogue. They go to synagogue. And where is the son going? Where is he sitting? At the seat of the rabbi. Yes. And then between Minchen, Kabbalat Shabbat, or Kabbalat Shabbat and Mari, sorry, he stands up and he gives a speech. Wow. They couldn't believe. The son is giving a speech, and he is called the rabbi there. Wow. They're going home, that the Shalom Zachor, the half of the Moshav came to the Shalom Zachor, and it was so nice. A beautiful Shabbos. They couldn't believe it. In the morning again, they go to Shachrit, and he's talking so unbelievable things, so nicely. And those is holiness. They couldn't believe it. Motzei Shabbos, the father says, ask, dear son, tell me, what's going on here? What happened? He says, you know, when I left home, I went to the Moshav, I met my wife, we got married, and one day there was a small group of people, they did tshuva. So they come to me on Thursday night, asking me how do they heat the food on a plata of Shabbat on Shabbat. Says, what do you want from me? I'm not religious, I'm nothing. Says, well, you know that you're from Bnei Brak, so you must know about it. Says, you know what? Come tomorrow, I'll check it. He remembered that with the books, he took a few halacha books, Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Berurah, I don't remember what it was, Shabbat Kilchata, I don't know, doesn't matter. He took a few books with him. So he's starting to look, and they come the next morning, and he gives them an answer. And then the next week, they start asking him other questions. Now, he didn't know all those things because he was far. So he started learning. And he bought another book and about another book. Then he was consulting a rabbi. Then he became a Mashgiach Kashrut. And it was going on and on and on. And then they asked his wife, maybe his wife will go give a drosha to the women of the Kehillah, those who did tshuva. So he is teaching his wife, and it's getting more and more. And the guy couldn't believe it. He gets back to Graf Steinman and is asking him, what is this? He says, I want to explain you something. When I heard your story, I understood something. Your son, he's a good guy. He's a Jewish guy. He was feeling down, like he was neglected. His big brothers and sisters were all brilliant and clever, and you didn't give him enough attention. He felt low. Who am I? And this caused him to leave everything. He said he didn't feel worthy. Everybody was looking down at him. And then when he came to this moshav and they started asking a question, he felt good. Such rabbi asking him and this, and he learned and he gave answers, and this took out his Jewish neshama. As the Rav Dessler says, every Jew's got this thing, and we see it with the kidnappers, the Hatufim and the Hatufot, and all this thing what we hear in the army, people going with tzitzis outside without a kippah. I mean, unbelievable, like this girl, this Hatufa, I cannot forget what she says. B'derech emunah bacharti, I've chosen the way of believing, and b'derech emunah shavti, and with the way of emunah I came back. This is Kiddush Hashem. But the big lesson here is, who is the Ben Rasha? How do we act? Do we send him away? Do we throw him out? Definitely not. That's the wrong attitude. And those who do it, they do a big mistake. We have to understand that the Ben Rasha that sits with us on the desk, we have to give him the attention. We have to give him the right way, to show him the way, from heart, from love, show him the love, show him that he is appreciated, show him that he is worthy, show him. And this is the way. This story is an unbelievable story. The only reason he left the religion was because he felt neglected. He felt down. He didn't feel good because he didn't get the right attention from his parents. Chanoch la'nar al pi darko, gam ki yaskim lo asur ממנו. That's one of the most important things. What can I say? To keep the right connection with the children, and doesn't matter where they are and what they are children. Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem, says God to us, you are my children, and my children doesn't care where we are. He wants that we will come back. And to keep this connection in the right way, I don't know if I told you this story, but the story of the Rav Pinkus, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. In the 3 last year of his life, he was flying every month for 2 weeks to South Africa, building the world of Torah there, mikvahs, Beis Midrash, shuls, everything. And when he came back, every time he brought present to his children, to the family, but especially to his wife. A nice present. He says, because she is sacrificing everything. Every month for 2 weeks she's alone with the children. And he goes to South Africa. One day he goes with one of his students, one of his Talmidim. And when they're coming back, on the airport says, don't you buy a present to your wife after you've been abroad? Don't you? He says, no, my wife, Hashem, she needs nothing, everything. He says, but this is nothing to say. So the Pintus go, buys presents as usual, and comes to they go to the plane. After it's quite a long flight, when they go down to Israel, coming out, the Rav Pinkus takes one of the boxes, nice wrapped, and gives it to this Talmud, and he says, you give this to your wife. And don't forget, don't dare say that somebody else bought it. You bought it. You thought about it. You bought it. Years later, this Talmud is saying, when I came home with this present, my wife was so happy about it. Said, wow, you think about me. Woo, wow. And then he understood what Rav Pinkus said. And from this day on, every time we went abroad, or wherever it was, when he came back, he came with a present. This is exactly the idea. To keep the fire, to keep the idea that the connection between us and God, between us and our friends, we have to do things. We have to think about how do we increase the love, how we keep the love, how we keep the right connection. And this is this Pesach. Pesach is the time, especially for the children, the next generation, to make this contact, to bond together, to make sure, doesn't matter what our children are doing, where they are they in the right way, are they going the wrong way, they are still our children. And we have to make sure that we are going to try to light the fire and embrace them and bring them back to the believing God. This is the idea of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Not say, but put your thoughts into it. Put the fire into it. Remember and understand that Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. God is our Father. And even if we sin, our Father is waiting for us. So that's the same way we have to behave to our children. And remember, those things that we do every day, they are the most important things. And this also is the education of our children. All the best. Ma'adim l'simcha.